Hey everyone, Sean Piers at Dental Piers. Welcome back for another installment of Meet Our Partners. I'm joined by a return special guest, my buddy Kelly. Kelly from Pearl, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing very well, Sean. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Great to be back.
Oh, right. Well, yeah, how could we the energy between the two of us, I think we might have melted some computer screens or something like that with the heat, the energy we brought. So we
Absolutely.
apologize on that front if that happened, but we're back to do it again. Protect your screens now, everybody, because
Of course.
Kelly's gonna bring it. Kelly's going to bring it. That's what he does. He's recognized for this. This is what forward-thinking leadership does. This is what thought leadership in the technology world does. This is why Pearl and Kelly are both recognized for helping to translate complex technology into practical value. And Kelly has an important role to help bridge the gap between clinical practice and innovation. That idea about making sure that it's important to have the technology, but are you using it to match the fundamentals of your business in the best way possible? And Kelly is a key voice in the future of dental AI to help bridge that gap for you. So, Kelly, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you again, wholeheartedly. And thank you for that intro as always. Home run. My goodness, grand slam, Sean. Thank you for that.
I mean, we got to make each other look good and important here or something like that, right?
Yeah, but you guys didn't see this, but I actually just hired Sean off camera now to just continue to hype me up there. I can just call him whenever I want, have him on speed dial.
That's it. Anytime you need that ego boost, I'm the man. I'm the
That's
man.
good to know, Sean. I appreciate that.
All right. Kelly, we had a great chat sort of
Yeah.
introducing some basic ideas
Yeah.
the last time we talked about
Mhm.
what Pearl AI can do and
Mhm.
the importance of it as a tool that can help with patient communication while not replacing what it is that the dentist is bringing to the table, both in terms of the relationship, which is obviously still critical,
Okay.
but also just in terms of that diagnostic capacity to use the expertise they've been educated in. And so
Mhm.
when we're thinking of some of the stuff that we talked about in that last conversation, I want to move it forward a little bit and ask you, what challenges are you seeing amongst the dental community today when it comes to maintaining diagnostic consistency?
Yeah, that's an incredible question, wholeheartedly. And really, that was kind of that question you just asked was one of the hatching points for bringing Pearl to market. And when you look at diagnostic consistency, it's hard because radiographic interpretation is inherently variable, right? So we know this because again we've done studies on this. UCLA did their own independent study on us, and the Dental AI Council did their own independent study on us as well, basically showing a group of dentists the same X-ray over and over and over and over again, right? They all had different findings, different results from tooth 19 to tooth 3, anything and everything. Took a break, came back 90 days later, showed them the same full mouth series, all had different answers. So different providers may read the same image differently, and even the same provider may read it differently on a busy day versus a fresh one, right? So again, that human eye can be heavy sometimes. And this matters even more, especially in your multi-doctor practices, as we kind of talked about last time you and I spoke, where if you have a office full of doctors that are all looking at the same x-ray but getting different results, that patient experience gets a little kind of muddled, for lack of a better words. So where patients expect continuity and payers expect documentation, Pearl's positioning in that AI applies this universal criteria across every image. So again, it's now this equalizer. We can help reduce variability and support more reliable clinical review. And to continue to quote from the ADA, because just it's relevant here being in the States myself, the ADA's recent AI standards work also reflect the consistency and validation that are central in industry concerns.
And I don't know how much of an overlap it has on this, but I recall reading this study, and I don't remember where it came out of, and it had nothing to do with dentistry. It was
Okay.
diagnosis of metastatic breast cancer,
Yes.
going to go back at 5 years anyway. And what it did is it looked at, okay, how good was the AI at diagnosing breast
Mhm.
cancer? How good were the oncologists at diagnosing it? And how good were the two combined? And was key. The two combined produced better results than AI alone and better results than the oncologists alone. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, doctor,
Yeah.
you think it's going to be any different with in the mouth? You and
Oh,
Purple working together. Isn't that a pretty good sounding team?
that's the very good sounding team, and wholeheartedly, that is the objective. This is not Pearl bullying the dentist out of their own practice. It's simply just another tool in the belt, and we're classified as a diagnostic aid. We're solely here to just help. That is the entire objective of Pearl.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, we can talk obviously importantly as it is about the use of Pearl as a diagnostic aid. At the end of the day, it's also about what's the patient going to accept.
That.
I mean, you don't get to treat patients if they don't accept treatment. That's the bottom line. So
Mhm,
when we're looking at case acceptance, whether it's from existing patients or
mhm.
even from new patients, what's the hurdle? Like what are you seeing as being the biggest obstacle dentists are facing at
Yeah.
getting case acceptance numbers up?
Yeah, that's again a great question that plagues everyone, right? That's equally felt across the board. And most patients really, if we take that at face value here, most patients are not declining care because they don't trust the dentist. That's not what it is. It's they're declining because they don't fully understand what they're seeing, why it matters now, or what happens if they wait. There's not a good enough grasp there on a black and white gray image that is just pointing that out to them. So really we have to kind of look at industry benchmarks where it commonly places that case acceptance around that 40 to 50%. And obviously it's going to vary throughout the year, right? It's kind of like a rolling scale there for existing patients. But then if you look at kind of those newer patients, it's about 25 to 35%. So it really does plummet off there, which really shows how much friction still exists in that patient conversation because again, they don't know what's going on. So if you look at that, 3,400 practices that we took from a separate benchmark data in 2025, we found that nearly half of the practices fell between that 40 and 70% in case acceptance, while the average case completion was only 42%, which means that even when treatment is presented, a large amount of that does not convert into that completed care. So again, we could sit there and show these x-rays, here you go, this is great, patient still has no idea, says no. So when you look at that entire facility and you go, okay, what can I do for my patient to serve as an equalizer here when they don't understand something? Well, now I can add color. I can actually individually highlight an incipient caries and distinguish between something that's progressed, show them what a periapical radiolucency really is, show them the calculus, show them their bone level measurements from CEJ to bone crest, and then I can side by side that, compare it to a previous x-ray that we took. Then I can throw on what our patent tooth parts is called, where it basically anatomically segments out enamel from dentin, from cementum, from pulp, and from bone, and you can walk them through the entire life cycle of that tooth if they don't take action. So a better case presentation where a patient is now seeing an x-ray where they have never seen it the way before. Again, going back to quote myself in the previous interview we did, where it's now you have this equalizer and you're lending your dental or doctor eyes to the patient to follow along with you. That is what's going to increase case acceptance. But without that, you're still going to stay in that range of that 40 to 70% of case acceptance where patients just have no clue what's going on. They don't understand.
I like that. I like that. And I think that I like where you took that from the standpoint, everyone that may have a little bit of familiarity with Pearl AI,
Right.
think of it of what it can do in terms of
Yeah.
putting pretty colors onto an X-ray, right?
Yeah,
But
of course.
there's more to it. You've touched upon some of the other aspects that it can do, those comparisons, some of the other things that Pearl can bring to the table that,
Yeah.
maybe didn't get the immediate level of attention,
Yeah.
but really are critical when
Yeah.
it comes to that patient communication to be able to say, you know, patient, I don't want you walking out of here with these oral health concerns being unresolved.
Yeah. And especially in this day and age, more and more dentists have just adopted the practice of teeth and systemic health overall. So it plays into that natural standard of care where it does start in the mouth. There's more than just bad oral health that can carry out through the entire body. We're seeing that more and more relevant nowadays. So it ties into a bigger picture and it starts with just understanding and better communication.
I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
let's face it, I mean, at the end of the day, the
Yeah.
key is going to be patient health. But doctors,
Of
you are
course.
running a business.
Yep.
Revenue matters. Bringing in
Yes.
revenue, profitability, that still is important
Yeah.
because you cannot provide that care to your patients if you are not operating a profitable business. So what's happening on that front? Are you that you're seeing
Yeah.
in terms of, practices losing out on revenue opportunities with undiagnosed and mistreatment?
Yeah. So, and that's just it, right? Practices lose revenue anywhere disease is present, but not clearly identified, not confidently presented, or most of all, not scheduled. So, in like practical terms, That just means subtle early decay, periodontal findings, your margins, other radiographic findings that can be kind of easy to undercall or hard to explain visually. That is where you'll start to lose the patient and you'll start to just miss things on your own. But with what Pearl can do inherently, if you just kind of take it at face level here, we're going to surface 37% more pathology and lead to a 30% case acceptance rate. Take those two stats on their own and apply them to any practice anywhere. That is the ultimate objective of any dentist. They want to see more dentistry and they want their patients to say yes to more dentistry, right? So seeing that average increase, right? So, 44% more procedures diagnosed and about two times more periodontal diagnosis, that's a useful way to kind of go into that revenue story of missed disease is not only just a clinical and clinician problem, right? But it's also unscheduled treatment and untreated patient need. So you're getting that standard of care that we might be missing out on. And then again, to tie it back to that production aspect of things, that unscheduled treatment is just forever sitting in this kind of like limbo of not on the schedule, not happening, but patients going underserved. So it's this vicious cycle that tends to kind of fall into the dental world. And that's really where practices that we see personally just lose the most revenue due to undiagnosed or just mistreatment overall.
Love it. Lots of great stuff to unpack with
Yeah.
respect to that. And I think what it really underscores, doctors, is making sure, as important as Pearl and this type of
Mhm.
technology is, you've got to have the fundamentals of your practice
Yeah.
operating effectively as well.
Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, if you do not, you can show Pearl images to your patients, you're still going to wind up with or well, maybe it'll be diagnosed, but
Mhm.
not accepted treatment
Yeah.
because you don't have the fundamentals down. So it's sort of it's teamwork on that front.
It's very, it is, it really is though, wholeheartedly. So it's kind of echo you again. It's doctor with AI, not doctor versus AI. Like, oh, I want to beat this thing. It's like, no, it's wholeheartedly designed inherently by dentists to help dentists.
Love it. All right, Kelly, I think we're going to wrap it up here because these
Yeah.
call it quick hits for a reason. All right, we got to be quick,
Yes, sir.
wasting time. But people might want to reach out to you, Kelly. How are they
Yeah.
going to find you?
The best bet is honestly to just go to the website. I know all of our vendor information is listed on there. Please go check that out. There's a specialized landing page created just for dental peer members. Go in there, fill out that information. You'll hear from someone on our team. We extended a nice promo just for the members of your group, Sean. We want to make sure they take full advantage of their member benefits and get Pearl started today.
Excellent. Love it. I will make sure that that link to the partner page shows up in the comments section, just like I said the last time with the last video. So, consistency is key. Kelly, thanks for being here again, my friend. Great to see you. I know you're probably a lot warmer than I am at this stage in the game, but
Yeah.
spring is coming.
Fingers crossed. Definitely. I'll send you some of that warmth. I'm trying to push it up there. I promise, Sean.
All right, all right. Appreciate that.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
very much, everyone, for joining us. Thanks very much, Kelly, for being here. Dental Peers will be back with another installment of Meet the Partners and Quick Hits. You just don't know when. Pay attention. I like to surprise you with these things, right? And you know what? There's still so much that we can explore with Kelly. So, Kelly, I'm going to bug you again. You're going to have to come back another time. Sorry, bud.
If you insist. Oh no, yeah. Cannot wait, Sean. Wholeheartedly. Looking forward to that.
All right. So look forward to seeing Kelly again. Look forward to seeing other mystery guests who shall remain anonymous at this point in time, but they're coming your way here with Dental Peers.